And hello once more, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to episode 33 of A Druid's Dozen. My name's John. Some people call me the Rock Druid, and I'm a bit of a radio DJ and avid record collector. Got a couple of radio shows. I do the Sunday Rock Show on BCFM Radio 93.2 FM in Bristol, and also present the Rock Druid Show on astroradio.earth, the internet music and astronomy station. And basically I've been DJing and record collecting for many years, and I just kind of drag a dozen albums out of my racks, and I wave them in front of the camera and just chat about them for a bit. A mini review, just some personal recollections, or how I feel about the records, you know what it's like. So shall we dive straight in? And we'll start off this week with this one. Yeah, there's the front. This is The Nature of the Beast by April Wine from 1981. There's the front. There is the back with the April Wine guys standing there looking very April Wine. Pull this out, and this is just basically its lyrics and the album credits on here. Yeah. Now, April Wine, in my opinion, a criminally overlooked Canadian band. They're a band that kind of, you know, they're kind of household names in Canada, but, you know, outside Canada, they tend to be a bit kind of culty status, which is a shame, because they're a band with a fine track record going back to at least the early 70s, if not before. String of great albums, and they just got an annoying way of writing fine songs. Now, I'll admit I haven't got that many April Wine albums. I've got about 3 or 4 of them, but you know, finding April Wine albums in the UK, especially on the second-hand collector's market, is quite tricky. But you know, one of the ones I've managed to get my hands on over the years is this one from 1981. And from what I can ascertain, this is one of their more heavier, kind of more rock and roll albums. I do tend to kind of, my main criticism of them is they can sort of like slip into balladeerism from time to time, but overall, yeah, when they rock out, they rock out. This album is pretty damn rocky. Okay, it does contain a track called Just Between You and Me, which is a bit of a soppy, sappy power ballad, but hey, you know, there's a place in rock music for soppy, sappy power ballads. But overall, it's pretty good. All Over Town, Telling Me Lies, my favourite cut on the album, Crash and Burn. All good stuff. Vocalist Miles Godwin, fine form. Production by Mike Stone, not the demon Mike Stone, but Mike Stone, who was responsible for a lot of the Asia albums, etc. Gives this album a bit of a polish without taking all the fire out of it. Yeah, don't think the cover's one of their best, but it's not bad. Yeah, as a gateway album into April Wine, I think this one does well. So yeah, April Wine, Nature of the Beast, 1981. Good album. Okay, next up, going to have something a little bit odd. Well, this couple are going to be a bit odd actually, but we'll start off with this one. So if you can see that, this is The Pigeons Told Me to Shoplift by Captain Hotknives. So there's the front. There is the back. There is absolutely nothing on the inside, and that's all the disc is, and that's how it came when I got it. Yeah, don't know if that's the captain himself scrawling on the disc, but basically Captain Hotknives is one of those kind of weird, almost distinctively British kind of characters. Based in Bradford. If you can imagine a kind of the bastard love child as a result of a one-night stand between John Cooper Clarke and John Shuttleworth, with maybe Frank Sidebottom joining in for a bit of rumpy pumpy. That's roughly what old Captain Hotknives is like. He's a bit of a poet, but like I said, it's also got that kind of John Shuttleworth kind of very basic kind of cliche minimalistic singer-songwriterisms. Writes these amazing little kind of very insightful poems about the life, the universe and everything. Got a couple of albums out. I've got several of them, but this is the only one I possess in physical format. All the rest are on as MP3 downloads. But yeah, it's, yeah, put it this way, just give you some of his song titles. There's I'll Never Forget the Time I Developed Amnesia. Shabby Muffin, which is a complaint about the sort of food you get served up on railway trains in Britain. It was a shabby muffin, it had no chocolate chips in. My favourite cut on here, Jimi Hendrix Won't Help You with My Maths Exam, which is about revising for an O-level maths exam at the age of 16 whilst listening to Jimi Hendrix. The title track, Pigeons, Sown, to Shoplift, which is a bizarre tale of crime, justice and pigeons in a northern town. Hotknives Are Good For You, you should know what that's about. Fucking monkey bollocks, exams, chip shop, glue. It's all great stuff. It's funny, it's insightful, a little bit irreverent at times, but hey, you know, that's the British sense of humour for you. All this stuff is available online, either for a donation download via Bandcamp or from other various good download sites. And I hostily recommend that you check him out, at least give him a listen. There's a lot of stuff up on YouTube as well. But yeah, Captain Hotknives, The Pigeons Told Me to Shoplift. I think from around about 2007, though I may be wrong. But yeah, Captain Hotknives, definitely someone to check out. Is great. Okay, from modern weird to retro weird, and a very battered sleeve, which has seen much abuse over the years. I got this second hand and it was tatty when I got it. It's now kind of on its last legs, but hey, as you'll find, as I keep saying with these, I don't collect for the quality of the record sleeves. I try and keep them in as good condition as I can. This was knackered when I got it, but providing the vinyl's okay and it's playable, that's all I worry about. Yeah, Camembert Electrique from Gong, 1971, I believe. I'll have a look inside in a minute. There's the front with the amazing kind of well, artwork that includes Glastonbury Tour, UFOs, pothead pixies, no flying teapots on this, that will show up later. There's the back. Gong in a farmhouse in France, which I'll come to in a minute. Yeah, 1971. There's the original Virgin white label there. Not white label as in, you know, part of promo, but white label as in it's the white, very basic white label. Now, this comes from a period where Gong decided to basically relocate to France for about a year, living in a place they called Honky Chateau in Normandy, and working around the phases of the full moon for maximum spiritual effect. They recorded an album. Basically, they locked themselves away in a French chateau with a shed load of hallucinogens and a recording studio, and to see what came out the other end. This is what came out the other end. I think their third studio album, and definitely one of their strangest. I mean, if you think things like Angel's Egg and Flying Teapot are a little bit bizarre, Camembert Electrique it's a head trip. This is acid rock personified. It's got the start of the kind of Radio Gnome inserts, you know, yeah, Gong from the planet Gong, and then you got tracks like yeah, I'm Your Animal, which is Dear de Malaby just screaming, I am your animal, or someone seems to be banging a radiator with a spanner, which apparently is on here. This is a strange album. It kind of, you got things like Mr. Longshanks, I'm Your Fantasy, You Can't Kill Me. It's very hard to kind of pin down tracks as individual songs. It just kind of flows into this acid tripping soundscape. You know, Tropical Fish, Celine, probably my favourite section of the album. But overall, it's a hard listen. It's a strange listen, but it's a good listen. Yeah. Camembert Electrique by Gong, 1971. It's very hard to explain. Try and just give it a listen if you can. Not the most accessible of Gong's back catalogue, but definitely their weirdest. Yeah. I won't say good stuff, I'll just say weird stuff. Okay, next up we'll have something completely different. And here we have Funeral for a Friend's Hours. 2005 this one came out. There's the front. There's the back. Pop this open. Behind the disc, there's the disc. Pull this out. And there's a better view of the front cover there. A suicide bombing schoolgirl or something? I don't know. And then you have kind of the same schoolgirl through the ages with the album lyrics. Etc. You know, there's representing 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, etc. Now, Funeral for a Friend, for those of you that don't know, Welsh kind of rocky hard rock band, alternative rock, slightly alt post-metal, I don't know. They were part of that big Welsh wave of bands that came out in the 1990s through the 2000s, you know. That includes bands like Catatonia, Stereophonics, Feeder, the Lost Prophets, the Blackout, etc. Loads of Welsh bands came through on those kind of, on that kind of sort of like scene kind of thing. Big explosion out of there. Funeral for a Friend, they're kind of very metal. They're a bit metal. They're a bit alternative, elements of hardcore punk thrown in as well. This is probably their best known and most successful album, although they're still going and bringing out really good stuff to this day. Quite an accessible album, even though there's kind of got some you know, kind of death, pig squealy, grunty vocals in places. You know, there's tracks like Streetcar, Hospitality, at the End of Nothing. They're pretty good stuff. I think they might have had a couple of minor hit singles off this album as well. Although, you know, this is the only Funeral for a Friend album I possess, because just when I started collecting them, me and my missus decided to shack up together. She's got a complete set of albums, so I didn't need to add any more to my collection because I have access to hers. Damn fine band. Band I got a lot of time for. Band I give a fair bit of radio play to because, You know, I like them. A lot of people out there listen to my radio shows like them. Yeah, not really much a great deal else to say about this. Definitely a band to check out, and this is definitely one of the albums to start with. But you know, all their stuff's pretty good and pretty accessible. Like I said, Roses to the Dead will probably be my favourite cut of this album, but it's all damn fine stuff. So yeah, 2005, Funeral for a Friend and Hours, good stuff. Okay, next up we're going to go right back to 1983, I think. There's the front anyway. This is of course Wasp's eponymous debut album. There's the back. And if I whip this out, there's the sleeve. Let's see, what does it say here? Yeah, 1983. And just in case anyone's interested, this is the one of the last albums issued on EMI's Fame label, kind of a reissue kind of thing. So this isn't an original pressing. I used to have this on cassette, and then the cassette eventually got eaten, so I replaced it with this vinyl copy. Anyway, Wasp, archetypal US 80s shock rockers. Band that I've got a lot of time for actually, because I like the way that Blackie Lawless kind of did 3, maybe 4 albums of kind of in your face, mummy baiting, kind of quite offensive kind of shock rock. And then when he got the world listening, he started banging out bands like Crimson Idol and Headless Children, which you know, have got a lot more suspect to them and a lot more intelligent lyrics. Don't know whether Blackie Lawless, whether it was planned that way or whether it just, Blackie Lawless just woke up after about the 4th album and changed. I don't know. But anyway, I do possess most of Wasp's back catalogue, and you know, this is I won't say it's my favourite, but one that I still play from time to time. I Want to Be Somebody, LOVE Machine, School Days, Sleeping in the Fire, On Your Knees, Tormentor. Not got on this version, it hasn't got the infamous Fuck Like a Beast single, which was originally going to be on this album, but various record labels both sides of the Atlantic kind of wouldn't let them release, and came out as an independent single on various indie labels. It was only included on the album, sort of like CD reissues around about 2000. But anyway, great album. It's trashy. It's dirty. It's very, very rough around the edges. It's kind of, you know, it's all that kind of sleazy, glammy cock rock kind of vibes with kind of added extra attitude. Band are on fine form. I can't remember who else was playing on this album, to be honest with you. My brain has just gone a complete fade. Blackie Lawless vocals and rhythm guitar, and that's the rest of them. I recognise the faces, but nah. But anyway, good album, in your face. It's and if you like a bit of kind of extreme hair metal, it's a good album. Yeah, simple as that. Wasp, eponymous debut from 1983. Not much else to say about that. Okay. Now this is an interesting little one. This is a thing again. This is a little again self-produced sort of mini demo kind of production. This is Where All the Seeds Are Sown by a band out of Exeter called Windslide. If I can just get this out. Again, all this is just a basic demo album type thing. It's printed on both sides, nothing on the inside. Home printed little logo on the disc. Now, my nephew hit me up to this because he kind of met someone that plays in the band. They're folk rock projects, so based in Exeter and South Devon. Basically, they're a three-piece. They got a guy that plays a homemade cigar box guitar. Also, does pedal looping and the vocals. They got a percussionist rather than a drummer, and a guy that plays a didgeridoo, but it's a kind of adjustable slide didgeridoo, right? It's sort of didgeridoo, I think they call it in Australia. And also there's another kind of member who died, but left a load of loops behind and kind of samples with instruction that you know, as the band carry on, he carries on in digital format, which is kind of a bit odd but quite touching really. And this is brilliant. This is a very, very laid back, tripped out album. Tracks like Turn Around, Can't Save Everybody, Digimbox, which is superb kind of didgeridoo, and this kind of cigar box guitar, sort of dueling play kind of thing. Whale Song, which sounds like Whale Song, it's just well trippy. Yeah, I don't know when this came out. I don't know what else they've released. I can't really find anything else by them, but I do know that my nephew gave me this for my birthday a couple of years ago, and I thank him every time I drag this album out and play it, because I do play it a lot. I thank him a lot for it. They've got some stuff up on Bandcamp, so I do recommend that you go and check them out. Well, this is available on Bandcamp, Bandcamp at least. So yeah, very good stuff. Yeah, and also the didgeridoo player's a guy called Dave Lister, no relation to the bloke from Ridgewall. Yeah, don't know when it's from, but where all the seeds are sown by Windslide. Cracking little piece of trippy folk rock. Good stuff indeed. Okay, next up we'll have another CD, I think. And we'll have this one. This is the eponymous debut album by Chicago band at Treble Damage. There's the front. There's the back. So this came out 2007. Open it up. There's the disc there. Battered and broken bloody jewel case. And it's got one of these long kind of strip fold outs kind of thing. There and there. Now, this lot are a kind of alternative grunge band. Like I say, came out of Chicago, and as far as I'm aware, this is the only album they ever released. They're a three-piece band consisting of a guy who goes under the name 22, who's quite a good guitarist and a pretty damn fine vocalist. There's a guy called Matt Walker on drums, and a guy called Chips Enough on bass. And Chip Enough was basically from Enough's Enough, the old Chicago kind of hair metal-y type band, weren't they? But anyway, here he is playing a bit of grunge with Treble Damage. Damn good album, really kind of impressive. Kind of hints of Soundgarden, Pearl Jam in it, definitely, but on the other hand, it's kind of quite heavy and quite a driving album. The guitar player with a broken neck is a cracking song. Black Leather, 23rd Funk. It must suck to be you. It's just, I've got to admit, I was going to play this album before I came on, but I had a visitor drop around and see me at the door, so I didn't get a chance to give it a pick through. But overall, what I remember from this album, and I will spin it when I finish doing this video, just a really good rock album. I say this came out about 13-14 years ago, so I don't know whether this is still going to be available. It may take some digging down, but believe me, if you like it, if you're into kind of your Soundgarden, say your Pearl Jams, Alice in Chains, etc., and or just the Chicago scene in general, you can't go much. You could do a lot worse than checking this one out. Yeah, 2007, Treble Damage by Treble Damage. Okay, next up, well, that's something that came as a surprise to me when I was picking records out for this week's thing. There's the front. This is Sleep No More by the Comsat Angels. And again, battered sleeve, but like I said, the album in here is near mint condition, so the sleeve has taken the damage, not the record, so I can overlook the condition of the sleeve. And there's the back with the Comsats themselves, track listing, etc. Now, this is 1981, by the way. The surprising thing about this is, I didn't know I had this. There I was thumbing through the record collection, trying to find some stuff to give a spin while doing some work at home. And suddenly thought, what the hell's this? Pulled it out and thought, bloody hell. I said to the missus, I don't ever remember buying this. So how long I've had it, where I got it from, was it a gift, was it a charity shop purpose, is it something I've had since its release, because I've always had quite a lot of Comsats. I don't know. But here it is, so I dragged it out and gave it a spin and reacquainted myself with the album. And yeah, it's a damn good album. It's Comsat Angels. If you don't know, they were kind of, I think Liverpool, maybe wrong, but I think off the Liverpool scene, and they were kind of post-punk, experimental, new wave stuff. Best way to describe them, if you can imagine, you know, like some kind of cross between, trying to think, something like Kim Wilde with orchestral manoeuvres in the dark, that kind of thing. Maybe a bit of the Echo and the Bunnymen thrown in. It's kind of in that kind of strange kind of, it's not quite new wave and it's not quite punk, and it's definitely not punk per se, but it's got the kind of punk ethos to it, very synthy, shades of maybe Ultravox in places. Yeah, a weird mix, put it that way. But it's a great album. It's very sparse, it's very chilled out, it's very mellow. Stephen Fellows' vocals are kind of hauntingly, almost like ethereal in places. Tracks like the title cut, I Dance, Diagram, Goat of the West, all pretty good stuff. Like I said, it's kind of very sparse, very keyboard led, kind of almost like trippy, but on the other hand it's kind of demands that you listen. That makes sense. Hope so, because I'm trying to explain something that's a bit not normally the type of stuff I normally go into, so I'm finding it hard to get a handle on what it sounds, but I do know that I like it, and I'm sure, you know, it's worth a, if you're curious into kind of stuff that you wouldn't normally listen to, especially if you're a bit of a rocker or an old punk. Comsats are a band that kind of worth kind of checking out at least, if you know. A quick heads up that if you're in the States, a lot of their stuff, although they're called the Comsat Angels now, a lot of their stuff came out under the name CS Angels because of some aerospace company suing them over the use of the word Comsat. But yeah, the court case succeeded in the States but failed in Britain. But then they won in the States on appeal. But anyway, yeah, 1981, Comsat Angels, Sleep No More. Yeah, maybe even early shoegaze, I don't know, but it's good. Go give it a listen. Okay, next up, something quite obscure. This is Moonglider by Alan J. Bound. There's the front. There is the back. Pop it open. There's behind the sleeve. There's the disc. Right, pull this out. There's Alan himself. And just a bit of basic inner sleevage there. Now I've got a couple of albums by this guy. Can't remember where the other one is, but basically he's a kind of psychedelic prog guitarist, working with a couple of other people, but it's mainly him doing guitar and most of the vocals. He's got a rhythm section he plays with, and done a few albums, all of which on physical copies are very limited. This one here is number 35 of 300, so I don't know whether, you know, finding is, I know the other stuff's all limited edition physical releases as well, so you might find a bit of trouble tracking these down should you want to, although I think they should be available on digital formats quite adequately. So this album comes from 2006, and it's just a really nice kind of, best way of describing it, if you hear some of Early John Roth, the old Scorpions guitarist, some of his solo material with his band Electric Sun, it's a bit like that. This album here is purely instrumental. I think there are vocals on some of his other albums, but this one here is pure instrumental. You know, and it just kind of lays out some really nice sonic soundscapes. I could name titles. I will name titles. Delightful Changes, Sensitive Feelings, Solaris, Moonglider, Etta Cantatia Part 2, Lights in the Night, The Blue Dream. But, you know, it doesn't really do it justice. The guitar work is slick, it's kind of very trippy. Sounds like Steve Hillage on some seriously good weed. Yeah, so Alan, Mr. Bound himself is German, and hastily recommend that you know, if you like your psychedelia, you like your Steve Hillages, you like some really good guitar playing, this guy is worth checking out. So Moonglider, I've got a couple of other albums by him as well, but Moonglider's the one I'm waving in front of you now, the one I'm going to recommend. Good stuff indeed. Okay, next up, bit of a classic from Scotland. There we go. This is from 1989, Gun, Taking on the World. There's the front. There's the back. Just the inner sleeve there. Lyrics, some credits, band photos, etc. Now, in the sort of like mid to late 80s, there was a bit of a kind of little kind of local scene group up in Glasgow. Kind of big kind of Celtic guitar led rock kind of thing, slightly blues orientated. The three main players on that scene were this lot, Gun, a band called Slide, and a band called Texas. And all three kind of broke through into the British mainstream or the world mainstream to a great electric extent. Slide kind of didn't last that long, did a couple of albums and vanished. Texas did a couple of albums, then sold out and became Charlene Spiteri's kind of pop band. It ruined a great band, that did. And then Gun. Done a few albums, periodically break up and reform with slightly different lineups. Had people like Ricky Warwick with them at one point. And I can't remember which one it is, but I know there's, yeah, no, there's some kind of relation between Charlene Spiteri and Texas and one of the Gun guy, like cousins or something like that. But anyway, this is a cracking album. I brought this album when it first came out, 1989. I went to see him live, and I have been a massive fan ever since. Okay, some of their later albums I can take on this, but this one and the follow-up, Gallus, are just great. This is one of those albums, a cliche I said, not a weak track on it. Contains a couple of sort of like their big singles. Better Days, Money, Everybody Loves Her, Shame on You, and the title track. All were kind of fairly substantial UK hits, top 40s at least, yeah. But then you got some other great tracks on here. I'll Be Waiting, Something to Believe In, The Feeling Within, Inside Out, all fine kind of anthelmic kind of really cool tracks. You got Giuliano Gizzi and Baby Stafford, the only album that Baby Stafford did with Gun before he went on to form his own band. Superb guitar, chiming, echoing, reverbing guitar work that kind of, you know, just kind of a very, very uplifting. Mark Rankin's vocals, powerful yet bluesy and soulful, quite tender in places, especially on sort of like what is it? Oh God, Taking on the World itself, and so Something to Believe In. Just for completeness, great rhythm section as well, and overall just a cracking album. The follow-up to this, Gallus, is good, but I don't think Gun have ever really topped the excellence of this album. This is an excellent album. My opinion, one of the best British rock albums of all time, well, definitely of its period at least, and one that should be in any discerning rock fan's collection. Yeah, 1989, Gun, Taking on the World. Okay, from something quite well known and famous to something really bloody obscure. There's the front. This is a band called the Smoking Rolo, the Smoking Rolo Sideshow. There's the front. There's the back. There is the disc. Pull this out. Here's the booklet. Sort of sleeve credits and kind of weird kind of short story kind of thing. And you get this back in. And then picture is the press release stuff, pictures of the band, and one of the most bizarrely and well presented press releases I've ever come across. Came out the 24th day of November 2008 AD. Right, now the Smoking Rolo Sideshow are one of those strange genre bending bands. They're out of Blythe up in Northumberland in the UK, as far north as you can get in England without running into Scotland, and they're just a strange mix of heavy alt rock, folk rock, bit of blues, bit of indie, kind of bit of traditional, just a strange kind of blend. Right, their own material, and they put this album out. It's the only one that I've heard. I don't know if there's anything else this band have ever released, but it's the only one that I've got and heard. And unfortunately, I went to kind of a bit of damage to the disc. I can't play it as much as I can do it. Only about half the tracks play on this now. It's that bloody black vinyl record there. They make those black discs make for crap CDs. So if you think they're releasing something, guys, don't use them. They look nice, but they're a bit shit. But anyway, this is a great album. There's it's almost kind of like contemporary twisted folk tales. Tracks like The King Is Dead, The Devil's Best Tune, El Rochambeau, Snake Oil Charm, probably my favourite cut on here, Drowning Sorrows in Shallow Waters, Spider Whiskey. It's just very engaging. It's very cool, and so fortunately I did manage to digitise it before the disc started fucking up, so I can still listen to it from time to time. Yeah, I don't know whether this is still going to be available, or you might have to do some hunting, but believe me, if you want to hunt this down, this is not one you're going to regret ever getting. It's pretty damn bleeping good. Yeah, Mucho Mojo Baby by the Smoking Rolo Sideshow. Good stuff. Leads us on to the final one this week. Here we are. From 1986, Saxon, Rock the Nations. There's the front. There is the back. Slide this out, just this kind of bit of artwork there. The lyrics and pictures of Saxon on here. Now, in my humble opinion, and I am speaking as a Saxon fan, I hasten to add, I'm not slagging for the sake of slagging. The late 80s were not a happy time for Saxon. Maybe, you know, with the dissolving of Career Records, they found themselves on EMI, and EMI were looking for the kind of a new Iron Maiden, looking to break a band in the States, etc. Consequently, Saxon albums became less and less rock and roll and more also aimed at the American market. It hit its lowest point with 1988's Destiny album, appallingly bad record. Well, it's got its moments, but overall it's not good. And this album, the one that was just before it, isn't much better. It's, you know, don't get me wrong, it's got its moments, and there's something else on here which kind of does raise this above the kind of very forgettable level. But you know, although tracks like Rock the Nations, You're No Angel, Running Hot, We Came Here to Rock, they're pretty good songs in their own right. They've had the fire produced out of them. It's kind of it's got kind of that kind of production that's aimed at American sort of like FM radio airplay, and you know, and all the kind of, you know, razored attack of albums like British Steel, not British Steel, that's Judas Priest, Wheels of Steel, and Strong Arm of the Law, Crusader, etc. are gone. You know, whereas kind of you know, Saxon used to be a band that, you know, you drop the needle on the vinyl and the metal will jump out and smack you in the face, leaving you with a bloody nose. This comes up and gives you a rather childish Chinese burn, and then goes off to sulk when you don't really kind of react to it. However, and I'm not sort of knocking Saxon for this, because I know that they've come out and said a lot of this was, they admit that that was the problem with this, and it was record company pressure. However, there is one redeeming feature on this, and the story goes, correct me in the comments if I get this wrong, but the story goes that they were in, I'm trying to think what studio they were in, Windslide Studios in Holland, and in the same studio complex was one Elton John, and they had a track on here called Northern Lady, which is overall a rather forgettable power ballad that they were looking for a session keyboard player on. Biff had bumped into old Reg Dwight, Mr. Elton John himself, and said, look, are you interested? We need a session player. And Elton John said, oh, I'll do it for you. So he came in, did the session, then had a jam afterwards, which turned into the cut Party Till You Puke, which in my opinion is kind of the best track on the album. It's an irrelevant rock and roll jam session, which shows kind of, you know, what Elton John and Saxon, they should have actually just got into a studio and jammed and recorded Latin rather than release this album. But anyway, that Party Till You Puke is the standout saving moment of this album in my opinion. The rest of it, even Elton John's piano on Northern Lady, turns a dirge into something not quite as dirgy, but nothing brilliant either. But overall, I think one of Saxon's most forgettable albums, and I say that with a heavy heart, because I've been a Saxon fan since 1980, and you know, unfortunately they got better. You know, from Solid Board of Rock onwards, they began to recover their mojo, but this is a band in the process of losing it. Shame, but true. Yeah, 1986, Rock the Nation by Saxon. So that's it for this week. Hope you enjoyed it. Remember, if you want to give me feedback, agree with me, disagree with me, make suggestions for albums I should maybe think about reviewing or having a chat about. Comments are down there on Facebook, down there on YouTube, over there on Facebook. If you like and subscribe if you're on YouTube as well, it just helps spread the word. So I'm not into making money out of this. I'm just kind of I want to share my love of music and get a kind of musical discussion going amongst like-minded people. So yeah, that's about it really. So until next week, peeps, love every single last one of you. Keep socially distant, and I'm out of here. Bye.